Alright, so this video is kind of for the rest of the 20% of why a website would outrank another. Um, so let's get started here. I'm going to start with Google My Business. So if I search Open Park Limo Service, which is the direct business name, you can see this section over here. It's called the Google My Business page. There's a link to your website. You can leave reviews. There's phone number, address, and then kind of some suggestions. This is an important part of ranking. You can show your service area. Obviously, I think reviews are getting more important in this day and age. Not necessarily because of ranking, but because of conversion. Because people will look up reviews on your company before they use it, especially in a situation like this, because the limo service is not usually an emergency situation, so they're not going to find the number and call it right away. They're going to do the research. So reviews are important. They do help a little bit in ranking, but I would say it's minimal. If you look at, so they've got 14 photos here. If you want to outrank the number one person for a certain keyword or a certain industry in a city, you want more pictures than they do. Pictures are very important in ranking. The other thing is, when you upload these pictures, let me see here. Yeah, so when you upload these pictures, you need to name them properly. So, Overland Park Limo Service, this guy named it Dash Google Maps because I'm sure he had a folder of his Google Maps uploads, but name them, city, and your main keyword that you're wanting to rank for. Google will read the names of these pictures, and the more times you have your name mentioned, or your keyword mentioned, the more help you're going to get. Obviously, fill out this 100%. When you do start a Google My Business, it usually gives you a tracker, like a percentage tracker. So literally just follow the instructions, add your hours, that kind of stuff. So that is Google My Business. The other important thing here is that your address. So essentially, you want to set up a Google My Business. You want to get it verified. So essentially, they'll send you a letter with a code. You want to put the code in. Just follow the instructions to get it officially verified. So this guy, he's hiding his address right now, which is fine. But so the name, phone number, address that you put on Google My Business is what you want to do for citations. You want to have an exact match on your Google My Business and their citations, or else it's not going to help you in a map pack. So make sure that's an exact match there. Alright, so we're going to talk about more social signals now. So social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Google+, all of those are extremely important to have if you're wanting to rank a website for multiple keywords. As you can see over in the Park Limo Service here, they have a nice looking Facebook page. They have reviews on it, which is good. It's pretty important to have reviews on your social media sites. Likes is not necessarily extremely important. I would say it's more important in just your traditional marketing because you're getting your name out there and people are seeing what you want them to see. And then the importance of filling this out as well. Kind of like just Google My Business. Facebook has their little percentage thing. Fill that out to the best of your ability, and then you can kind of change some things over here if you wanted to. But so make sure you have a Facebook page for sure, and make sure you have a Google Plus page as well. This one is going to be a little bit different. So if we click About here, you can actually write whatever you want here. This is pretty important to have your keywords in because Google will read it, and it's actually it's Google Plus. So anything Google is pretty important to have, and then make sure you have this keyworded, and then have cities that you're wanting to rank for. Make sure you have your phone number. I guess the only thing they're missing is at the bottom of this, I would put a link to their website. I would put their name, address, phone number. I would pretty much just make a citation here because it'll count as a citation. Google will read that. So another important thing is photos. Same with Google My Business. Make sure these are worded correctly in terms of how you save them. Let's see what he did here. So yeah, he didn't save them properly here. He kind of just uploaded a couple photos. But I would save them to your keyword and your city name probably as well. And then it's fairly important to keep decently consistent with at least making some posts. You can see that he made the same post a bunch of different times, which I guess it was to a bunch of different Kansas City places, which actually was probably a pretty good idea, but keeping up to date on these is pretty important. So another one, I'm not going to go search these, but YouTube is pretty important. You can upload some informational videos that are super easy to make. You just take a little bit of time and do it. That's a pretty big social signal nowadays. Let's see. Reviews from outside sources like Yelp. You're not ever going to get many leads from Yelp, but just having Yelp is super annoying, but just having a page where people can leave reviews. In the Midwest here, very few people use Yelp, but I know on the coastal areas, people almost go to Yelp before they go to Google. So I think it's pretty important to have a page, at least for people to leave reviews on. So make sure you have that. Let's see. Title tags. So essentially a title tag is the first thing Google will read when they come to your website. More than likely, this is probably the title tag. No, that's not. H2. So this is, yeah, so right now this is the title tag, which is wrong. You want to have this be like Overland Park Limo Service or Limo Service Overland Park. One of those two things that you're trying to rank for is you want your title tag. I don't know, this site was built in Weebly, and I know they don't, it's harder to do an H1 tag here, so this is an H2. And H1 is the official title tag, as you can see over here. But I would do an H1 tag of Overland Park Limo Service on your website. That's pretty important. Another thing I want you to see is something called an alt tag. So alt equals picture. Google goes through and after they read the content, they read the alt tags of these pictures. Each picture should be titled your keyword, because the more times Google reads your keyword, the higher you're going to rank for that keyword. So this would be something I would change on this site, is the alt tag to Overland Park limos or something along those lines, for all your pictures on your website. So that's pretty important to do. Internal linking on your site. This site, yeah, so there we go. There's a link. So having internal links on your site and to different pages on your website is very important, as well as having links back to the home page on your internal. The more links you give to Google, the more content they supposedly see. So I would just make sure to have a couple links, or have a link, at least one link to each of your internal pages on your home page, and vice versa. So linking from services back to home is important. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is making sure your website is mobile friendly. Super easy to run a test. Google pretty much just tests out this thing. This is a huge deal. If your site's not mobile friendly, your site's not going to rank. As you can see, this is mobile friendly. Did find a couple page issues, which you definitely don't want to have. So that'd be something I would take a look at on that site, just to make sure you don't have any page issues. And then the last thing I would do is a website speed test. It'll run through its little query here. If it lets me. So it'll give you a little performance grade. B is fine. If you have anything that's C or less, you definitely want to go to your site and kind of figure out what the problem is. Most of the time it's people upload pictures that are way too big, and that's what slows the speed down. This isn't a huge issue, but I know Google downgrades you if you have less than a certain amount of time. I don't know what it is, but especially if you're getting searches from a mobile device, this is pretty important. So make sure you check your speed on all your sites. One more thing here with anchor text, you want a vast amount of different anchor text with your site, whether that's leaving off the HTTP, leaving off the www like they did here. You just want to change it up a little bit. Plus you want as many different keywords as your anchor text as possible. So in terms of a backlink, you want Overland Park limo service, you want one that's limo service Overland Park, limo driver, limo something. You can do some keyword research, but you definitely want a vast amount of anchor text here. So